Do you feel drained every time you do line work? Did you spend hours trying to get it right, only to hate the end result? Have you scrolled and scrolled, trying to figure out a solution? Yeah, me too. You're here because, like me, you literally ruin every sketch you make with your digital line work layer.
Spot, go big or go home.
And I figured out a solution. Upon looking at my digital art history over the years, one of my biggest issues was me trying to fit inside a specific box when it came to line work. As an early artist, a lot of the artwork I'd see online would have clean line work and beautiful coloring, which naturally I wanted to mimic. For years, I would go through a vicious cycle of watching videos or reading tutorials, downloading new brushes, trying them out, and ultimately failing to make a piece of any substance. It's something a lot of digital artists struggle with. Endless tutorials, new brushes, but still feeling like you never make any substantial progress. I originally started drawing with traditional art, and a lot of my traditional line work over the years would have similar quality to my sketches, so I knew it wasn't my technical skill. There was some sort of disconnect between me and digital line work, but I couldn't figure out what it was. That is, until this year. My biggest problem was actually the stabilizer. A lot of the videos I've seen that discuss getting clean-looking line work suggest using a stabilization setting. This is a line correction in your drawing program that automatically fixes wobbling in your lines as you draw, but it also causes a lag if you draw too quickly. This lag would cause my lines to look too clean, and all of the personality from my sketches would disappear.
Erased from existence.
Every bit of personality that made my sketches so likable were instantly zapped by me trying to make something almost artificial on top of it. A lot of people love line stabilizers and it greatly improves their work, but for me it left my artwork looking lifeless. I began to get so frustrated because I felt like my art was regressing even though I knew my technical skill was actually getting higher. So I thought, what if I didn't have to? What if I just made a sketch be my line work? No stabilization, no special line work brush. I'll just make a sketch as clean as possible on top of my original sketch layer. But it's okay if it isn't perfect. It worked. It took me a bit of time to adjust to drawing this way, but I don't think I'll ever go back to forcing myself to do digital line work ever again. Unless, of course, I'm specifically trying to mimic the art of a show or game or something. Oh yeah, before I get to this next section, I want to mention that I use a screen tablet, so my experience with digital line work might be a little different than someone using a smaller tablet without a screen. Okay, so here's a drawing I did at the beginning of the year. I spent hours on this line work for it to look like this when the sketch looked like this. Now I'm going to redo the line work using my sketch brush instead. Also, I'm going to change the style of the face a little bit since I sort of changed the way I drew faces this year.
Hey, editor here. Can anybody tell me why does this say Leonard?
I first start by lowering the opacity of my sketch, which I make a different color, usually blue, so it's easier to see my line work layer. I take my sketch brush and I start to line. I pay attention to the things such as tangents, contact shadows, and line variation. These are all things usually brought up in line work videos or tutorials on how to make your lines better, but now I'm just applying it to a sketch instead. I don't know about you, but I much prefer the new drawing. The texture of the brush as well as depth created by me going over lines multiple times adds a sense of interest. It feels more like I drew it than I was making some sort of digital creation using my drawing as a base. Does that kind of make sense? Anyway, of course, this is just my personal preference, but that's kind of what this is all about. It took me a while to actually become accustomed to doing this for pieces I plan to put effort into. My sketch line work gradually became cleaner and more precise, and this has even affected how I draw in general. I finally feel like I'm getting somewhere, and I'm not embarrassed to show people the drawings I've actually completed. Maybe my real advice for this video isn't for you to do the exact same thing as me, but to start working with what you've got. It doesn't mean you can't still learn and stretch yourself out of your comfort zone, but you shouldn't stress yourself out so much and set yourself up for too much frustration. This is art, not math, and the rules can be bent a little bit to fit you. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble about this. I actually made this video because a few of you asked about my digital line work in the comments, and it got me reflecting because I was really surprised that you were asking. If you're curious, I'll leave links to the CSP brushes I use in the description below, but please don't feel pressured to use them. The point is for you to use what brushes make you the most comfortable. Also, if you have any questions, tips, or even video requests, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'm planning more art-related videos like this one, so maybe I'll see you again soon. you.